All right, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the Proptech Genius Show. And today's genius is Zach Gorman. Hey, Zach, how are you? He's stuck. Zach, you look really good, but you're like stuck, dude. How did I lose you already? Dun, 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 dun. Zach, where'd you go? Okay, this would be really embarrassing if he's like talking and stuff and like we don't get him. Okay. Now I have two of you.
So, sorry about that, Amy. The second you were like, "Are you ready?" I was like, "Yes," and then it just everything froze, and then
I
it
know. And now I have two of you. You cloned yourself. It's so awesome. I don't know how you did that, but you cloned yourself. It was a very cute post. You were like this. You're like,
yeah, I just saw myself like frozen there. I was like, "Oh God!" Like, great way to start this off.
I called you a genius and then you disappeared. I mean, it's like so awesome. And now we have two of you. Here, I can boot your other you. I
Yeah, if you click
I
on
can
it.
boot your other you. Wait,
Yep,
maybe I can boot you. Can I? Oh
I
yeah.
think you can control.
I
Yeah,
can
hide.
do that. Okay. All right. I booted your clone. Um,
Great. Let's try again.
okay. All right. Let's do let's do this again. You might have
Thank
just
you.
I might just leave it in the episode, man, because that'd be pretty damn fun. All right. Yeah, I can edit. I don't usually edit, but I'll edit. It's fine. We're
Seriously, I have no pride in it.
You
I'm
have
not
no
gonna.
pride in edits. All right. Well, we'll keep going. So this is the point where you get to talk about yourself. So go and don't do this because that makes you get stuck. So don't anything near your chin.
Cool. Well, yeah, thank you for having me today, and we appreciate it. I, you know, in terms of just like quick background on me, been building in the prop tech space since 2017. Previously started a tech-enabled real estate brokerage. That's sort of where I cut my teeth in the industry. Spun that company out about a year and a half ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, to start working on Real Reports, which is our current venture. Can think about it at a high level. I'm happy to go into whatever detail you'd like, but the sort of broad stroke is it's an AI supercharged Carfax for homes. So we bring together, data from 30, 35 different sources. We're always adding new data as well. And we have an AI co-pilot on top of all of that. So it's a product really directed towards real estate agents to sort of empower their process. And again, happy to sort of break down the value proposition sort of each step, but really, really exciting tool, really powerful. And, I think especially in the climate and times that we're in the market and everything going on with the lawsuits, it's become paramount for agents to just find every competitive edge they can and be able to really articulate their value to clients. And so this sort of, property intelligence tool that we've built is a really great way for agents to not only empower themselves with information, but be able to, bring that to their clients and really, draw a line in the sand of like, hey, I'm data driven, I'm sophisticated, I have access to these new tools, new types of technology, things like AI being used in a meaningful way. So happy to get into the gory
Yeah.
details, but that's just sort of high level.
Is it something that they turn around and provide to their customers? Is that how they use your stuff? Is that what they do? Okay.
Yeah, it's we I've been working in the space, as I said, for quite a while. And our previous business was working with agents. We probably had like 40 or so agents working for us at one point. And so I understand that it's not one size fits all. We as a business understand that. Some agents will use this tool simply internally. They just want access to that information. They're using it to, diligence properties before offer writing, before, listing,
Okay.
etc.
Mhm.
Other agents want to actually bring this tool and sit down with a client and show it to them and sort of go through that information together. So a lot of agents are using this at that first meeting, the buyer presentation, the listing presentation, trying to
Ah,
really set
yeah.
that first impression. And
Mhm.
then we have other features and tools within the report itself that make it really compelling for lead generation as well. So agents, instead of a sign-in sheet at their open house, will be like, hey, this home's powered by AI, learn everything you want about it, just scan this code. anybody who scans the code of the property can go around the home, ask questions, and interface with the AI and get those answers in real time about the property. All of that information is sent over to the agent. So they have like not only a comprehensive log of who was there, their contact information, but these really, tactical ways to follow up with somebody. Let's say you, Amy, are at my open house at 123 Main Street. I see you come through. I see you come back to the report over time. So I get this sort of real time activity feed. But then you're asking about, private schools. And I have this sort of jumping off point with you where I can just already do some research and provide value for you beyond just the sort of cold outreach, like, hey, are you represented kind of thing. So, it's one of those products where we try not to boil the ocean, but the reality is an agent, we want to build a product that really fits in at these important junctures throughout an agent's process. And I think
Right.
we've done a pretty good job so far.
So yeah, no, that's awesome. So when did you started in 2017 with another company, and then when did you start Real Reports? What year did you start that?
We started building the better part of 2 years ago, but we only went live in market at the beginning of last year in 2023. So still pretty new, but
Yeah.
especially in the last 6 months or so, we've really started to feel those tailwinds, and a lot of our hard work is starting to pay off, both in terms of just the product itself, but traction and partnerships and all of this stuff.
Yeah, and we were talking and you pulled a rabbit out of a hat and you got funded in 2023. Like
Yeah.
seriously, like it was you in the middle of tech winter and you somehow got funded. I mean, we got to hear this story. So like,
Yeah, I mean, you can probably see like the gray hair on the side of my head. It's
well, at least you got funded. I mean, that's awesome.
yeah, and I really, we're super grateful to not only have gotten funded, but have found excellent partners. Done the rodeo before, and it's really easy, especially as a very young startup, to just want to take money from whomever,
Mhm.
especially in a climate like last year where everything's resetting valuations. Just the whole, there's so much emotion tied up in it and so much anxiety, and it can be really easy to just cave and say, like, first person who offers you money, you grab it and go. But again, having done this before with previous companies, we know sort of the resultant effect of not finding good partners. And so it was really, really important to us to not only raise money, but to get it from people who are going to be instrumental to, the growth of our business down the road. So I'm incredibly grateful. It was harrowing to say the least. But I learned a lot. And honestly, I probably built far more empathy for the investors than I thought I would. I think previously I was, just always a founder scorned in those conversations, but it's tough for everybody right now. And I think with the market reset, like there's going to be a lot healthier habits, built over time between VC and founders and businesses, but it wasn't easy. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, well, it never is. It's never easy. And I was trying to raise in 23 too. But this was my first time. So there's a lot of a big, huge learning curve. I mean, I had, silly me. I had raised millions of dollars for real estate. Like, because I was a private equity real estate person
Right.
prior to starting tech. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's gonna be no big deal. I can raise money. That's all I ever done is raise money. Oh yeah, I shot myself in the foot, in the face, and like all over the place. I mean, like going because it was it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different way to valuation. It's a whole different way to pitch an investor. It's a whole different way to like what their preferences are and what they were doing. And then in the middle of that, I'm learning the game. And in the middle of that, everything's shifting. It's tech winter. And I think an angel investor is this. And like, no, we need you to have revenue. Like, what are you talking about, Willis? Every person I've talked to is like angel, man. It's like
Yeah.
so yeah, I just, trying to learn that in 23 was just horrible. I mean, at least you had the experience prior to. It's probably why
Yeah.
it's successful,
It,
but
I will say the experience helped more than anything just to give me thicker skin as we waded through the broken glass tunnel of the process, because there's just, it's just going to be hard.
yeah.
And especially with the sort of, resetting of expectations, everybody's trying to de-risk themselves even more. Like it, you know, it's just going to be hard. And at the end of the day, I probably still talked to 70 or 80 VCs. I, individual conversations that led to
Mhm.
more. So it's like
Yeah.
that funnel was still big. It's not like I had, two people ready to just
Oh, I know.
send over a check right off the bat. It was sort of starting from scratch, and it took the better part of the year. So it's a process, and I always just recommend to new founders starting out. I'm just like, just know what you're walking into. Like, unless you are just truly going gangbusters, you've got you know incredible amounts of traction and revenue, and like for just early stage, that's unlikely to be the case. But that's the only way it's going to be easy. So but I think the thing that made it far easier was, and we hadn't done this previously, but was making the investment on our side and building relationships with VCs and investors
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
getting on the radar a year ago and just accepting in those early conversations, not even going into them with the intention of raising money, but just being like, hey, I just want to tell you about this business, get on your radar. I'm going to send you investor updates every month or two. I
Yep.
want you to see how we work, how we build, how we operate. Because at the end of the day, for early stage, they're investing in you, your
Mhm.
team, knowing that full well the product or even the mission of the company is going to, you know, be flexible. And so it's like just investing in the time for them to be able to have, clarity and vision on who we are as a team and how we work and build and our tenacity. Like, that's what I know for a fact that is exactly why we got investment, because the investors told us. So it's, again, I have lots of lots of lessons that came from it. It was hard, but I'm, again, more than anything, I'm just grateful that we ended up with partners who are going to be with us for the long haul and have something real to contribute beyond a check.
Yeah, and no, I totally get it. I mean, I was talking to another founder, and
Yeah,
that was their same success path, right? They had, all they did was like they started the relationships early. Like, you're always raising before you raise, which I know because I was in private equity and real estate.
right.
Like, you're always raising. You're not really officially raising, but you're raising. It's brand
Oh yeah,
awareness, it's marketing, is this is who we are. We're a founder. No, we don't need your money yet, but you need to know who we are because eventually we might, right? And
yeah,
so, and the power of a newsletter, like, oh my gosh, like I never, so I just started the Proptech weekly newsletter.
yeah,
People like those suckers. Like, I was amazed. I was like, really, you want to listen to little me spout off about Proptech? Okay, all right, fine, whatever. But it's amazing to me how people love those things. And I started one for my Proptech company. And so, but just, getting that information, it's really just like, what do they say, is the old adage, and because I'm old, the old adage of like, they had to see it 27 times before they buy it, whatever it was,
oh yeah,
advertising. So it's the same
yeah,
kind of concept, right? You're sending them a newsletter, telling them what you're doing, keeping them up to date, and then you're top of mind. So when they're like, oh yeah, we want to invest in a new company. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, there's real reports, and they're doing really cool things. So I remember seeing a couple months ago that they were doing great stuff, right? And
yeah. And it's
yeah.
it's hard as a founder sometimes to accept that you're not the center of everybody's attention. Like, it's the hubris that comes along with being able to build companies and whatever. Like, I'll be the first to admit that, like, it's an affliction. But yeah, I mean, I it was honestly, I really sort of ruminated on that fact for a while, what you were saying about like these multiple touch points. When in our previous business, we would go get Zillow leads, right? That was just like one channel we had open. We'd pay for leads on Zillow, and Zillow always had this instruction, which I thought was totally inane, of like, you gotta, like, in the first 10 days, 8 different touch points: texting, calling, voicemails, emails, like. And I was just like, this is so heavy handed and yada yada yada. Like, it just feels, I feel the more salesy I am, the ickier I feel. And but like, the reality is, that's how I feel, and I'm projecting. And many times, even if you do try and contact somebody 10 times, they don't even pay attention to the first half of them. And it's just like, you just don't know, number one, where somebody's at, how much attention they're paying to you. And very likely, if they don't know you, they're paying you this much attention, if anything. And
Oh,
so,
okay. So you're not being icky. They're just not paying attention. So you're just trying to, like, hey, hello.
yeah, just ring the bell. And it's different. I bring up those Zillow leads only for just like, it taught me the power of repetition. In that case, it was, it was very clearly sort of a sales arrangement. But with our business, from a marketing standpoint, because I wear plenty of hats, but like the marketing side of what I do, it's not very complicated. The thesis is how much can we just put out signal? And the reality is, like, our team had discussions about this. I was like, we're small, we're scrappy. If we don't have something to say every single week forever, effectively, then we're not moving fast enough or we're not being creative enough. And since we've really internalized that, like, we've stuck to it, and every single week, and it's not this like crazy strategy. I just post on LinkedIn, I post on Twitter, one
Yeah.
announcement a week. And it's just one of those things where, like, you have to be ready for, medium term waiting periods, but eventually people are like, wow, like, you guys are always doing something. And, like, it
Yeah.
really starts to bubble up, and you start to see, like, the payoff of just getting in front of people, because they're not going to see everything. That's not how the algorithms work. That's not how people's attention works. But eventually they see enough to, start building trust and faith, et cetera.
Well, and you're building momentum, right? And it takes about 90% of your effort to build it. Once it gets there, it can roll. But it takes all of this concerted effort to build all of this momentum. So you don't want to, so don't stop when you're 87% of the way there, because
Yeah.
you have to keep pushing, and you have to keep pushing. And then eventually over time, you might let off the gas a little, because you've got all this kind of stuff going. But really what it is, you're building momentum in the systems that you're using to push the
Yeah.
stuff out, right? So then it gets easier over time. But
Yeah. And people get excited about it. And I totally agree with you. That's the thing. Like, recently I felt like, oh, wow, like, we're just starting to hear more about us from other people instead of us, which is, like, really exciting, and, like, gives me a lot of faith that we're heading in the right direction. But I was saying to my co-founder James the other day, I was like, now is the time to double down on those efforts, not just be, like, complacent. It's like, if it's working, triple down. Like, don't let up on the gas, because it's just, again, follow the signal. Like,
that's
just keep
true.
doing it.
And things become fads, and they go out of fad, and you got to have to, and there's the next shiny object, or,
Yep.
that's coming on board. So I get it. No, I totally agree with that for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, it's tough. I mean, you're wearing multiple hats as a founder, and you spend part salesperson, part marketing person, part accountant, part this, part that, and it's just, it's like, okay, what hat am I wearing at the moment? And but I get it. But the truly, the one thing your job is to chase money and chase sales, especially an early startup. That's your job, right?
Yeah.
And how can you chase sales if you're not marketing all the time,
Yeah.
right?
100%. Yeah. And, I mean, a lot of our time, even though I'm self, I will also be the first to admit I'm not, like, a very extroverted person. Like, I can wear the hat and play the part, but, like, especially in our industry, it's about, like, you got to go to those conferences. Like, you got to go do those reps. Like,
I know.
90% of our business and the deals that get signed are done because you've spent time at the bar with someone,
Mhm.
and, like,
I know.
shared drinks, had a cigar together, and, like, gotten. It was something where, again, like, coming into this industry, I was like, oh, that's, like, such a pain in the ass. Like, it's so old school. Like, why would I,
Yeah.
just seems so unnecessary. But honestly, I've, like, really sort of changed my tone about it, having now spent the time to get to know these people and build those relationships, because it's just, I appreciate the fact that while our industry is archaic for many reasons, that it being relationship based is still sort of core to everything. Like, I think that's a very good thing. Even though I think it can be
No.
expedited, but I think the thesis of that is still really, positive and meaningful.
No, it's for sure. Like, people will only invest in you or buy from you or refer you if they like you. Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's the only way they're going to do it, is if they like you. And they can't
Yep.
like you if they don't know you, right?
Right.
And so you have to
Yeah.
go out there and get them to like you, And
Yeah.
then, over time, as they like you more, they trust you more, and they'll refer you more, they'll buy from you more, they'll, invest in you more. But the first of everything, of all of that, is they gotta like you. And
Yeah. It,
and it's so funny, because that was, yes, and it's exhausting. I remember I'll be at a conference, and I'll be like having to take like, 5 hour energy or whatever because it takes so much when you're not extra and naturally extroverted. Like over time, it's like I am so sick of people. I cannot see another person. I need to go into my hole so I can recharge, but I had no time to do this. So I
Yeah.
have to go fake it and go like down a bunch of 5 hour energy or whatever. So I can go, okay, I'm back. All right,
Yeah.
everybody. I gotta go meet all these people and be nice and put my fake smile on. And but you have to do it. It's part of the gig.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like I think the thing that's been both humbling and gratifying is like I think our team and I have like started to really find our people, both in customers and partners, and just irrespective of the sales side, just like our people. Like it took a while to sort of find that lane, but I've been like super inspired by the people around us and our company and our community now, and just seeing all the great work being done. And it's again, I am, humble enough to admit when I made some presumptions that I'm really glad have been sort of dispelled over time as I've invested more time getting to, know the ecosystem better and know the people within it. So it's been a good thing, a really good thing.
Yeah. We can talk about this a little bit, but I think a lot of real estate agents, and that's your client, right? Real estate agents.
Primarily, yeah.
I think they're all, I know it could be teams and some other stuff, but I think they're all very, very scared right now. I think they're scared because they think AI is going to take their job. And I sense that because we even on the call you were on yesterday when we had the real estate
Yeah.
summit, residential summit, I was getting that in the back channel. Well, AI can't replace me. I'm going to do, and I'm like, okay, all right, either you need to embrace this or you're not going to be an agent anymore. I don't know how to tell this to you in any other nice way, but like get over yourself. This is to help you, not replace you. Your job just might be a little bit different, and that's okay. But I mean, it's like it's the same thing, but I felt that most vehemently yesterday when people were putting stuff in the back channel, and I was just like, oh, come on, come on.
Well, I think Craig from Inman articulated it well, and I totally sort of subscribe to the same philosophy of that. We're not at this moment in time where the paradigm shift is going to be so aggressive where it's like AI all of a sudden takes everybody's jobs in the real estate. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But what definitely is happening is that the agents, practitioners, real estate professionals who use AI tools, stay up on the technology, embrace it, will start to create a really significant divide from those who do not. It's the typewriter versus computer moment where it's just like we have technologies enabling very similar processes, but one is giving you a 10 to 100x multiplier on efficiency and results and productivity. So it's yeah, I mean, the sort of like boohooing around like it's going to replace everything. It's like no, it's not. Sure, over time,
Maybe.
if you I think it would be crazy as anybody in our industry to not think that there will not be some meaningful version of a AI real estate agent, but is that going to replace agents? No, it may replace a certain tier of service. But I just, especially in our industry, it's such a, you know, emotional moment. It's a high purchase kind of process. Everybody's going to want to have somebody on their side. But it also, again, it may change the structure of an agent's role. It may make agents I think there'll be divisions. There'll be end-to-end white glove service, high
Mhm.
level, expertise, luxury amenities, whatever. I think there'll also be a lot of agent services which are more, modular of like, hey, you just want me for your search, let's do that together. Or hey, you want me for your offer negotiation, let's do that together. But all of these things on both ends will be powered by, advanced technology, AI or otherwise. Like there's always going to be something new.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's yeah, sorry, kids. Okay.
No worries.
Yeah, no, I think it's yeah, but I get the fear's real and I get change is scary and I get all of those great things. I just I think that this is so truly revolutionary and that it's not going back. So you can't, hearken for the old days and think that you can still do that and it's still gonna be okay. It's not gonna be okay anymore. You can't get away
Yep.
with it. Like
Yeah, I totally agree.
yeah,
And
I
I,
think, yeah, for
you
sure.
know, and there's, I think the way that we approach, we market AI as a pretty core function of our product, not only because it's flashy and it grabs attention, but because I think we've actually built something meaningful in there. And, there's sort of a couple ways that people use it, but the the ability to just have this, we always say this, that like real estate data is only as powerful as knowing what to do with it. So there are plenty of agents out there who are data driven and sophisticated and can manage big spreadsheets and data scraping and all of that on their end, but like regardless of their aptitude for data, it's still just there's so much information about a property that someone needs to know and or could have access to.
Yeah,
So for us, like the first, V1 was just like, let's use an LLM and build a model around our data, and allow somebody to query that, in real time and converse and like understand more, because you're not, the agent's job isn't to spend time putting the information together. It's to provide the information, provide their expertise and sort of local knowledge on top of that to give somebody a holistic representation about whatever they're speaking on. So that was sort of Mark one, but now, we haven't even released this yet. So a little preview, but we're adding in, we just added multimodal AI. So now an agent can upload property documents directly into the report itself. We will do an automatic AI summary of those documents. So think about these like massive
yeah,
disclosures, seller disclosures,
yeah,
inspection reports, condo association documents, talking like 90 pages of information.
yeah.
The reality is most agents just are not going to go read through that information.
I
So
never do.
now it's like it's just I don't want to do that. So now
No.
you can just upload this, get a summary, it gets ingested into the AI, you can query that in real time and just like it's just these efficiencies, AI
Mhm.
does not have to be a scary thing. It's just like we're just creating these paths and avenues for somebody to just do a better job at their job and focus their time and their human resources on the things that only humans can continue to do. So yeah, I totally empathize and I agree with you that like there's a lot of fear. I think a lot of it is misguided. And for us as a AI prop tech company, the hope is that we're there to educate people and sort of onboard them with, products and services where the AI sort of on some level vanishes into the background and is less of like, you know, something standing in somebody's way and more something that's just greasing the wheels and making their lives easier sort of instantaneously.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, um, you can't tell me that an agent wants to respond to 1,000 lead emails on a house.
No.
They don't. Like they don't, I mean, if it overwhelms them. So, some of the grunt work can totally be done by AI. I mean, like and I don't think they want even some of they answer the phone calls. I mean, that's why they hired people. That's why they had real estate teams,
Right.
other people, right?
And it's all about speed to lead on, especially on the lead gen side. Like, not only do they not want to do that, they physically, unless they're hiring more people, like that just doesn't scale in a way that's going to scale their business at the same, rate. So it's like, this is just opportunity waiting, and in many cases, the workflow is not going to feel any different. It's just going to feel easier. So yeah, I'm excited. I think that it's just a hot topic to sort of disparage AI and like the coming of this big, boogeyman. Of course, there will be bumps in the road like any technology, and we may feel these more viscerally because we have more methods to communicate how we feel about things nowadays, and it's more ubiquitous in terms of just algorithms are sending signal to the top. So if you've got a strong opinion, it'll be known by more people. But I think it's only room for opportunity and optimism.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I don't know what the realtor looks like, the realtor of the future looks like. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's somebody that has I think what it eventually will end up being, it's just somebody who has the local knowledge that AI could never find. You become the local expert, which is what you're always supposed to be anyway. But you
Mhm.
become more specialized in your neighborhoods and then you become valuable because AI can't ever get that information, right? And so it's what, and so you just like hang out. And so instead of having to be the person all over Seattle, you just pick a specific neighborhood that you like and you hang out there and you sell real estate all day long, right? And because people that want to get into that neighborhood need to know they need to come to you, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe people doing that already. So maybe it just fully aligns with what they're doing.
Yeah,
But
I think it'll drive, which is, part of the sort of specter of all of these lawsuits is it's going to drive the level of service higher and the expectations of service higher, which it absolutely should. Like, I think
yes.
real estate agents in particular get picked on a lot for just being like, well, any old idiot can go get their real estate license and sell a home. And like, the reality is like, you can go get your real estate license and sell your home for like your cousin who doesn't know any better, but like, that again, you're not scaling that business to anything meaningful. And I think we're already starting to see, so many people rushed into the profession over the last 5 years and now had a really bad 5 years and realized that you have to work your ass off as a real estate agent to make it. So these things are all happening in tandem. Yes, I think there's going to be a ton of collateral damage of, there's just so many real estate agents and that will not scale with the technology and the expectations of service. But I think that is a good thing. Like, I
Yeah.
honestly, I do.
Yeah. I mean, anything that becomes easy, a lot of people flock to it. And, in 2020, 21, it was easy to sell a house. You didn't have to
Yeah,
know anything.
right.
You just had to convince somebody to make you their listing agent, right? And
Yeah,
that's it. And it sold itself. And it
yeah,
was easy money. And so a lot of people did it, right? And so, but now that it's hard, it's just like anything, being in real estate at all right now, it sucks if you're an owner, if you're an operator or a property manager, if you're anything in real estate at the moment, we're all crying in our beer. So is what it is, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to stay that way and it's going to be okay. And but I think the next gen of all of that is happening and we're all trying to figure it out. And I think it'll evolve over time, obviously, until the further gen comes from it. Like, you
yeah.
know, um, but yeah, no, no, I totally get it. So do you have an AI name for any of your stuff? Like, do you have a person, like a persona? Do you have one of those?
Aiden is the persona,
Okay.
AITEN. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I said this yesterday. I think it's hilarious. I think that's the next thing. Do you remember back in the day when everybody was rushing to get a domain name? Now everybody's gonna
All
be
right.
rushing to get their AI persona name. So don't take Max because Max my guy. So
No, we're set with Aiden for the time being. We'll see. There may be demand down the road for people to have like their own personal version where like
yeah,
all of these tools now where AI can ingest all of your correspondence and emails and sort of
yeah,
mimic you. I think from a real estate agent's perspective, there's still a lot of standoffishness around like an AI impersonating you because you just don't want to get caught in a sticky
mhm.
situation because the tech, still has some certain fallibility around it, and especially in real estate representation,
Oh yeah.
one wrong answer can trigger somebody to go a different way. But again, like the reality is this stuff is just going to get better and better at a, logarithmic scale. So, we'll see. I think there'll be plenty of people who, even if it's not a representation of them,
Yeah,
they will imbue AI entities with all of their collective knowledge, all of their documents, their Google Drives, their email correspondence, just as a way to, again, just improve their process and efficiency.
for sure. So, the coolest thing is too, is that, so I have a call later today. So I have a weekly call now called Innovation Real Estate. And it's a LinkedIn audio call. Cause like back in the day, I got, when Clubhouse was cool, I was on
Yeah,
Clubhouse.
I
Right?
remember.
You remember Clubhouse being super cool? Like I just enjoyed the hell out of it because you get on
Yeah,
these calls and these high level people were in there and you could just
yeah,
learn from them. I learned so much
yeah,
from them and I connected with them offline. It was
yeah,
great. Well, I was like, well, and then it all went to hell. And then I was just like, okay, but I was on a LinkedIn audio call the other day and it was like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So I'm like, all right, I'm starting one of those. I'm going to call all my friends and we're going to do this and we're just going to get in there and just talk stuff and make it really super valuable for people, right? So I
yeah.
have one today. So my buddy that's in there is not, it's not Proptech related. He's running the next gen of LLMs and
Mm,
he's competing with like OpenAI, right?
sure.
So and his stuff is super cool, but like it can digest, his AI can digest so much stuff so quickly. It knows every language in the world. You can speak to it in any language. That's super valuable, right? So if
Yeah.
you're trying to deal with somebody in France and you don't know French, well, then you can use their thing. But can you imagine it can digest all the real estate law on anything. And so now the real estate agents they don't have to learn that over time and understand what, you can have this like thing in your back pocket that's using this, AI system to really help you, like truly,
Yeah.
truly help you, and there's just the amount of information it can consume and then bring you insights. So you're not having to go learn it, you know.
Yeah, we trained ours on, fair housing law, things like that, so that if
Yeah.
people are asking questions that are sort of out of bounds, like it has that knowledge, it has that awareness. And the best part about this is, the models being built like that we sort of co-opt into our product, like we get to focus on the thing that we're really good at, which is like ingesting all of this real estate information, normalizing it, building a great consumer facing product around all of that. But we get sort of the oomph and the power of all of these models being built on the AI side, so that, because we're a small and scrappy team, we can move at the same rate as them. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to go through this long process of, review and et cetera. Like we're sort of all moving fast together.
Yeah.
And every week it's like we sort of have all these, again, like we're releasing multimodal. So now, just as I was saying earlier, like take that 90-page condo document, dump it in there, summary in 5 seconds. I can ask anything about it. It's just like these really eye-opening moments of like, we're just getting started. Like
I
it's not
know.
even, and I think we're still very much trapped in it feels a little robotic. A lot of the UI around AI is like, I got to type something in. And, where we're really headed is you don't even need to do anything. The insights
Right.
just come to you. And not to even mention, like, right now we're sort of staying Switzerland, where it's like we surface the data about these properties, collate it, give it back to you. But once you have all of this data, being able to build predictive modeling on top of that, like just, you know, you really start to see the matrix in front of you of like what's going to be possible. And it's going to be so incredibly powerful.
The cool thing is, and this is, I take a page from my dad, but the cool thing about AI is that it now makes technology accessible for baby boomers, right?
Yep.
They don't know how to use the computer. They don't know how to type. They don't know the commands. They don't know anything. And I see my dad struggle. He's 81, and I like, go dad, go. And he still works. Like the man is still working. He's still creating. He's still doing stuff, but he struggles with the computer. And I'm like,
Sure.
Dad, there's got to be a way for you can just talk to it and tell
Yep.
it what you need. I need you to email this. I need this file. And I'm working on, and he's got an old laptop. I think I need to upgrade his stuff. And I think Cortana and some of the stuff that micro is rudimentary. But
Yep.
I can't wait for the day when you can have a 90-year-old person go, hey, I'm looking to buy a house and I'm looking in these neighborhoods, blah, blah, and it just gives them the information, which is what
Yep.
they need. And so now it's not only are you helping just general people, but you are helping the aging population because
Oh,
they don't can't interact with a computer, but AI can help them all day
yeah.
long. And
And
those
it's,
folks are just cool as crap, and they got money, and they're willing to buy stuff and do stuff and move around. It's
yeah. And I mean, like, I agree. I think, it's coming at the right moment, because I think we are experiencing with like older generations that like without having grown up natively with technology, the gap is becoming wider and wider in terms of your ability to adopt and stay ahead and stay current. But I think AI is going to really
Mhm.
bring that back to center, where you've got somebody, even like, this is slightly off topic, but just I saw a company the other day. I can't remember it, but I'll send it over to you. They're working on, and their niche within LLMs is emotive AI. So like not only is it, sort of
Yeah.
lossless comprehension conversation, no buffering, it's like it just feels like you're talking, but it also expresses empathy. So if you're telling it like, hey, I had a really bad day today, its tone of voice will sort of shift to like meet you in that sort of emotional environment that you're creating. Like I just think that that's going to be that in tandem with just
Hmm.
the compute power is going to be so powerful. And
Mhm.
I've always said this, but I think like elderly care in general is like one of our most overlooked opportunities, which I don't even mean to frame it in sort of like a financial way, even though it's a
Yes.
potentially massive vertical, but like it's just one of the most sad, at least in the United States, just like one of the saddest results of like this discrepancy. Like you've got this whole category of elderly care where it's like you can't get people to get involved because it's a really taxing job. It doesn't pay tons. Like
Hmm.
AI is going to really, I think, be instrumental of like helping fix that problem. You know, AI and probably robotics in tandem. Like I'm so excited to see that category just sort of
Yeah.
bloom out of nowhere and
Yeah.
bring, you know, these older generations back into the conversation by, you know, just giving them the tools they need to participate more meaningfully.
No, and talking robots. I mean, I'm a single mom, right? And I just want the Jetsons made. I like I'm like I want someone to come clean my house and and dress me as I wake up in the morning, and I just go on to like what was it, the little walking path thing, and then you just get this and you get this and you get this. I'm like going, oh, I so love that.
Yeah, well, I mean, my grandfather who passed last year, like a lot of his last year of life was, you know, he had to have nonstop care. And
Oh,
fortunately, he was able to stay in his home. But like, you step back and think about that, like, I think there's something very meaningful about having a human being there. But,
yeah.
you know, even sometimes just somebody's weight makes it difficult for a service, you know,
Yeah, they
provider or
can't do it.
handler to like
Yeah.
bring them somewhere, you know, and
Yeah.
like the ability to like have AI robotics and humans all sort of helping
Working
each other to just smooth out that entire
together.
process. I think it's a really beautiful thing. I'm like,
It's
again,
like
very
it's like when the old someone falls and they can't get
yeah,
up and they don't
yeah,
have, the button. But what if they didn't have the button? Well, can you imagine a smart home that recognized that person fell and let me call EMS, right?
yeah,
And then we could do that now. I mean, I think
yeah,
we could get that technology exists now. Like we're like, even the office buildings where they recognize where people are and this facial
yeah,
recognition technology. It's emerging, but I can see that totally getting into somebody's home. So that way they don't have to go to a nursing home. They could stay in their home and
yeah,
their yeah, older children don't have to go live with them and stay with them in case they fall. Right.
yeah,
And I did that. I had to do that for my mother. And I had to move in because she kept falling. And there was
yeah.
no way for us to know if had she fallen that we couldn't. I mean, you had to have somebody there. And so
Yeah, well, and these like the our generations are experiencing this moment in time where like we're caring for our children, but also our parents in a
yeah,
lot longer time horizon,
yes.
and everybody's, you know, more invested and deeply involved with work. And it's like these things we need something's got to give because
Yeah.
the things that actually have constraints, which is like our human time during the day, like that's not going anywhere and it's just being used up in a different way. So
No,
yeah, I again, this is why I'm just like, yeah, like there's some scary stuff around all of this technology, like always, but man, do I get excited about like what is actually possible at the same time.
no, I do too. It's not going to be iRobot and they're not going to come kill us and it's going to be okay. And but if they do, we'll just call up Will Smith and he'll just save the day. It'll
Mr.
be fine.
Soft.
We'll just call up Will. Hey,
Yeah.
Will, do you see the calamity? Come on.
Yeah. You've been training for this all your
You've
life.
been
It's
saying
time.
this for a whole life, yeah, that or aliens. If the aliens show up, he can do that too. One of the two. Well, we'll save the day. I just think that that's what's happening. No, but there's just way too many smart people, and there's way too much concern about
Yeah.
it. There's enough concern about it that yes, I get that it learns on its own, but we can set the guardrails and for it to understand that it can't go outside the guardrails, right?
Yep.
And I think that that's still possible. I don't know. I mean, I don't code, so just like I don't know why people are listening to me. I don't know how to code to save the life of me, but I just been around it enough to understand that I think that that's kind of where we're at, and
Totally. And
yeah,
somebody in the panel yesterday, I think it was John Rogers at CoreLogic, just bringing it back to the real estate side of things. Like again, just all of this, like when you bring data and higher compute together, like all of the stuff that, CoreLogic's doing around, predictive analysis for, especially in the climate domain, about building up community resiliency, at the parcel level, like all of that stuff is just so, again, it's just like, it's really impressive and eye-opening. And I just think that like a lot of these massive systemic problems we've been experiencing for the last, 20, 50, 100 years, like this is a moment in time where I think, it's not going to solve everything, but it's going to give us a real leg up that we just haven't had the chance,
Oh,
you know.
yeah. I was geeking out. Like I geek out on data anyway, because I'm a data girl, but oh my gosh, just the amount of data they have and then what they can do with it. And just in the and they're being so John is like he's the chief innovation officer for a very huge company.
Yeah,
And and he's so welcoming and he's so helpful and he's like has this total there and CoreLogic's all total approach is like we just want to help. We want to
yeah,
help in like with major systemic problems like climate, affordable housing, like all these different things. And I'm like, hooray! I'm like your biggest cheerleader. Like this is
yeah,
awesome sauce. I mean, it's crazy town. I mean, it's so great. And just because they're choosing not just to sit on it and make money on it, they're really trying to solve huge problems. Like, let's not flood out homes because they're in a hurricane zone. Let's figure out ways to make this better so we're not doing this every year, or whatever it might
yeah.
be.
Well, and
Yeah.
I'm hopeful like these, obviously that's a massive company, but like these companies that have embraced technology in such a meaningful way, and all of these sort of, whether it's the incumbents or the, small little scrappy startups like us who are, over time going to get larger and larger, and also large doesn't have to be, directly proportional to like headcount, but like,
Right.
you can build a much
I
larger
know.
company
Not
with smaller
anymore.
people now.
Not with AI. Not
Right.
anymore. Yeah.
But it's like the ability for those companies to have impact and hopefully bring, government forward, because government's another one of these, verticals and pillars that's just so lethargic for technology adoption. And it's like the collaboration between something like CoreLogic and FEMA or the CDC, like I'm hopeful that like the more tech can have influence on these, lesser tech industries and domains, and just again help fast forward some of the,
Yeah. Yeah.
molasses that we've been through.
Totally get it. I am yeah, they have a unique position because they're helping the mortgage companies, the insurance companies, and they're kind of their back office engine, but they are working with all those government agencies, right? So they can, it's nice to have them in our, they're a part of the council. This is really cool. And they can go fight those battles where they have the ear of certain people to say, hey, 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 you know
Right.
which is totally nice. But yeah, no, I get it. I think and no one, I mean, look, no one knows what to do with AI. No one knows what to do with blockchain. No one knows what to do with lots of things in the government. Like they just like it breaks their brain. Like they don't like they can't compute. They can't. It's like, and so but they will eventually get there. Some of those elderly folk that need to like retire will get out of there, and some younger person will come in there and they go, oh, yeah, well, like, what are you waiting on? Like, seriously, people, like,
Yeah.
and it's not like I don't respect them. They've had, they're there for a reason, and I think there needs to be good transfer of knowledge there. But I think it's there's a whole generational thing happening in lots of and this is back bring it back to Proptech. There is a generation. I was in real estate for 21 years, like a commercial real estate owner and developer. And there is this generational shift happening in the real estate industry. A lot of the old guard is retiring. And
Yeah.
a lot of the new leaders are coming in, and I can see it. I can see at the highest levels of like in the commercial side, CBRE and JLL, and
Yep.
people leading really cool initiatives that are in their 40s and 30s, and like really high level folks. So I think as this guard, it's not all happening now, but as this whole guard shift changes, Proptech is going to become more and more important, more and more vital. And I think more and more real estate companies, we were saying, real estate's just always been late to the game. Well, I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I don't think we're going to be late to the game anymore. I think we'll be leading at some point to
Yeah.
where leading the
It's
change.
always been like, yeah, 100%. It's like, I I say this ad nauseum, I feel, but like everybody's always looked at this asset class and was like, so ripe for disruption. Like, what's happening? Like, why haven't, and
Yeah.
this is a very general statement, but like, why haven't we seen the disruption? I think for a long time, like part of this is like core to why we're building what we're building is that the tech wasn't there yet. And the old guard, a lot of protectionism in this industry, et cetera. But like all of these things are sort of, you've got like the old guard transitioning out, technology is moving at light speed. And admittedly, while it's hard, like you've got this pressure point of like the market is terrible, rates, while at a macro scale are probably totally fine, but like relative to a couple of years ago, everybody's freaking out. Inventories, it's like this is the breeding ground for like
Yes.
monumental change. And so yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like bring it on. And
Yeah.
I think for us, again, like one of the big problems that we were solving for is we at our previous company is sort of tech-enabled brokerage. We were building a lot of sort of experience on both ends. We have all our agents, they were out there like diligencing properties, just always having to go, I have to go stand at town hall or be on the phone for 6 hours to pull permits, or go to a FEMA website, which is like, in disrepair, collate that information. Like data is a problem for like the individual experience there. But then for us builders, like, you know, could take 6 months to negotiate a contract to get a new data source, or it could cost six figures of, 3-year contract. It's like, there are all these barriers to entry. And so for us, it was like, no wonder this industry hasn't moved forward, because this builders at the small scale can't even get started. You can't put those kinds of barriers in front of a small team of 2 to 4 people and say, all right, pony up the cash and the time and the effort, because that's just not, you can't build product effectively that way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now that's changing. I'm, hopeful that we can be instrumental to that process. But yeah, it's just, again, I'm so pumped because it's all
I
like
know. I know.
tipping, and
It
the
is.
opportunities are there.
We're all like chomping at the bit. It's like right there. Like I can
Yeah.
see it. It's just
Yeah.
right there. And I don't know what it's gonna be that's the catalyst to kind of finally push us, but it's super close. And I felt like it was like, it was there and it was close, but now I just feel like it's just super close. It's like right there and we're about to like go bananas. And I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be, so prop tech and real estate have always been tied at the hip, like for like the longest time. But now
Yeah.
I think that prop tech, they're going to realize that no, prop tech has to lead real estate out of its doldrums. Like it's going to
Sure.
have to, technology is going to have to come in and save the day. And
Yeah.
so investors, and once investors kind of realize that, and they realize that just because the real estate market is, and I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but I've been in real estate investing since '08. We're in this thing till 2026, y'all. Like a
Oh
couple
yeah.
of years,
Oh yeah.
we're in this. Like, don't keep thinking this, oh, we'll get out of it at the end of 24. Like, shut your face. Okay. We're in this for a little bit. Even if they started lowering interest rates in this year, even if they did it, it's such a lagging industry. It's going to take about a year to work its way through the system. So by the time they're doing all these cuts, like you're not going to feel it till 26, 27. So
Yeah.
y'all just shut your face. Like seriously.
And we
But
just build more housing too. Like,
yeah,
and again, another great opportunity. Like you're seeing all these companies being able to build modular housing super
yeah,
fast and 3D
yeah.
printing. But like, I agree with you. It's like, we're not, this
We're
is
not out of it.
no,
No,
no. So
no.
other things have to sort of
But
meet the challenge ahead.
yeah, but that means technology can lead. Like
Yeah.
we can build efficiencies for this stupid industry that was not embracing efficiency since I ever got into it back in 2003. I was like, come on, people. Like seriously. But they didn't have to. I mean, real estate, I say this all the time. Real estate is super forgiving. If you catch the right cycle and you're an investor, you can get in, buy a piece of property, and in spite of yourself, make money, right? You can be the dumbest operator, complete knucklehead, never rent it, doesn't matter. You'll still sell it for a profit. And but it's not like that right now. So,
And again, same with like real estate agents, like go get your license. The way that commissions were set up, it's like, listen, like, yeah, you could go make a ton of money if like you're really grinding, but like you do a couple, you do 4 sales a year, like you're probably okay. That's why there's so many real estate agents who are seasonal workers because
Yeah.
like, you know, that 4 to 5 sales in a year, like you're good to go. And that's probably what, conservatively, let's call it 200 hours of work. Like
I know,
it's,
right?
you know, but again, now in this moment, like that's just not going to fly anymore. So everybody's
Yeah,
got to figure it out one way or the other.
for sure. Well, this was such a cool conversation, man. I'm so glad you came on the show. This is
I
awesome.
appreciate it. No, I thank you for having me. It's always,
Yeah.
I'm glad that I've gotten to know you over the last couple of weeks more and more and see
Yeah.
all the cool stuff that you're putting on and,
Yeah.
look forward to
Yeah.
participating more on my end as we go
Yes,
together.
for sure, for sure. We'll have more events and yeah, I'll kind of announce we have this super exclusive event I'm gonna invite you to. So
Great. Love it.
that would be awesome. Really cool. Where are you located, by the way? Where in the world are you?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. Awesome sauce. Well, yeah, I'll be up there too. So it'll be great.
Cool.
All
Yeah, let
right.
me know when you're
Cool.
done.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, have any, I'll pretend to be a podcast host. I'm like the laziest one ever, but
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
yeah, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you? What's the best way to do that?
Uh, LinkedIn, you can just find me on there. My email is Zach, ZACH at realreports.ai. It's probably the easiest way to get in touch. Always happy to chat, get feedback, whatever, talk about anything. So yeah, just always looking to make more connections in our community and our industry. But that's how you can find me.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much, Amy. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you.